Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are getting ready to get started um, just here in just a moment. And I know we are a little past time, so um, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Alex to get started.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. This is part two of our three-series webinar for the Safe Route to School grant. So the first one, we gave a general overview of the grant, and this one will be focusing on the application walkthrough and doing a Q&A with the Illinois Department of Transportation. And just want to share that this is webinar is possible made by Active People, Healthy Nation, the Illinois Public Health Institute, the Illinois Alliance to Prevent Obesity, and put on forth by the Active Transportation Alliance. We'll have myself today, Alex Perez, an advocacy manager at the Active Transportation Alliance, and we have Jim Merrill, who's the advocacy manager at the Active Transportation Alliance as well, and John Perez from the Illinois Department of Transportation. So welcome everyone. The webinar is being recorded and it'll be posted on the Active Trans Safe Route to School webpage, so you can see the slides and recording there. Participants will be automatically muted, and if you have a question, feel free to drop the question in the Q&A box, and closed captioning is available for people. So for people who are not familiar with the Active Transportation Alliance, we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to advocate for walking, biking, and public transit to create healthy, sustainable, and equitable communities across our Chicagoland area. And today you have myself, Alex Perez, and Jay Merrill, who are on the call. And just to provide a quick overview on the Illinois State and Physical Activity and Nutrition Program, ISPAN. It's a 5-year initiative to connect activity and friendly routes to everyday destinations by improving walking, biking, and transit systems to promote physical activity. And it's a partnership with the Illinois Public Health Institute funded by the CDC. And as I mentioned, this is a 3-part series, and this is webinar number 2, as well as providing one-on-one support. So if you, we had the first one on July 16th. You can view the recording and the link shared on the slide, Safe Route to School webpage on the Active Trans website. We're currently on part 2, and then we'll have a third webinar with Q&A with IDOT staff on September 17th. So keep that date in mind. Okay. So Safe Routes to School, yep. There's two types of applications in Safe Route to School grant. There is a infrastructure application and a non-infrastructure application. So be mindful which one you're applying for and don't apply for the wrong one. And if you have any Q&A, we have that with John Perez throughout the webinar, and save time at the end as well for questions. So just a quick overview of the Safe Route to School grant again. It is administered and managed by the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, who owns state roads in Illinois. And this is a funding cycle that goes for 2 years. So the call for proposals open August 1st through October 15th. So that is the day the application is being closed, Wednesday, October 15th. And there is $12 million in funding available, and it is 100% funding, no local match required. So this is great for communities, for infrastructure and non-infrastructure, walking, biking, and projects around elementary, middle school, and high schools. And this is projects that are primarily within 2-mile radius of a school. So just going through the walkthrough now for what a Safe Route to School application would look like. So this is for infrastructure applications. This is how it would look like when you open up the document on the IDOT website for Safe Route to Schools. So you can access the applications, documents, and everything else related to completing and submitting an application on that webpage on IDOT's website. And For this, so you're gonna put in the application name, the project sponsor, and for the project sponsor, that is gonna be who administers the project, and then it also acts as the fiscal agent, and the applicant can be anyone. So that's anybody who could be a representative, point of contact for the application. So just make that distinction that the project sponsor is going to be who's going to be administrating the project, and the applicant name can just be a point of contact person. Funding cycle is going to be 2025. And then for the bottom part, write in the total project costs for the project, and also put in your requested Safe Routes to School amount. So for the awardee for infrastructure projects, it's the $250,000 max. So be aware of that as well. And then for the non-infrastructure side, similar process. The only difference is with the total project cost, the requested amount for a non-infrastructure project cost is $100,000 max. So that is kind of the two big differences between the amount type when applying for a non-infrastructure and or an infrastructure grant is $250,000 versus $100,000 in the amount that you can get for the project. So for the funding cycle, as I mentioned, you're going to enter 2025 for the year. For contact information, as I mentioned as well, for the sponsor is going to be who's going to be administrating the project and acts as the fiscal agent. And then for the applicant, could be a representative point of contact for the project in itself. If you are in a metropolitan planning organization area, make sure you put in the contact for that person. And then just again, project details and costs. So you have $250,000 max for infrastructure and $100,000 max for non-infrastructure projects to go towards your project. So there are some checklists as well for the project details. For when applying for the Safe Routes School to grant, they want to know if you're applying for both. So if you are applying for both, check in yes. For an infrastructure or non-infrastructure project, you are allowed to apply for both types of grants. Is it dependent on another Safe Routes School project? So making sure if it's tied to another Safe Routes School grant, you are answering yes or no. And if the project is within a 2-mile radius of a school campus as well. Another question is there going to be additional need for right-of-way? So answer yes or no. And then parent surveys and student tallies. I will share those documents later on, but attach a summary for those documents. This is optional. So if you have if you want to make a stronger case for your application, these are some ways to do that. If you had a key stakeholder interviews, share the documents with that. If you held a public comment, that's another way, or conducting walkability or bikeability studies. Those are great ways as well to add additional help to your application, then school wellness policy incorporated as well. So these are documents that you can attach to your application and make it a little bit stronger for your case. And narrative is another big piece as well to help you keep making a strong case for your project. So for the narrative, project location description, add a basic description of where your project is located, and if you have any maps, attach those maps as well for visual reference. Make sure you're identifying the schools or schools that are impacted within the 2-mile radius of the school project, of the project. Project description could be 2 to 3 sentences just describing what type of project you're working on and the need itself. Safety hazards and barriers to walking, biking, and rolling are great ways to just keep strengthening the case for why your project is important. Anticipated project impacts, so safety, potential to reduce child injuries and fatalities, making sure you're including that, and then mode shift. Both these things are very important to kind of key to including your narrative and making sure you're highlighting the safety improvement and also creating a mode shift for your community. So we want to make sure that we're increasing the potential for walking and biking, public transit in the communities you are in. Project readiness, make sure you're kind of highlighting where you're at with the project and kind of just detailing timeline, who's going to be in charge of it. So whoever's reviewing your Safe Route to School grant is aware that you have kind of a full team and are ready to take on the project to the end of completion. And then consulting and support, if you have any letters of support, feel free to add those as well to your description, to your application. Summary comments. So if you have any comments from the project that you've gathered during the application, add those as well. They'll help you strengthen your project case, and then include contact information for additional team members. That could be a parent, a teacher, a principal, a consultant, or a volunteer. And then contact information as well for your Safe Route to School, local coordinator, grantee contact, and project manager as well. So include that in your application. And there's also going to be a checklist for your infrastructure application. So what improvements will be included in your project? So you have a list of things to check off that include sidewalks improvements, traffic calming, speed reduction, traffic control devices, pedestrian and bicycle, on-street and bicycle facilities, off-street bicycle and pedestrian facilities, and secure bicycle parking. So if any of these things are included within your project for improving the conditions, feel free to check them off in your application. And there's also part of the infrastructure application, there is a detailed cost estimate document that you have to fill out. So this has to be prepared by an engineer. So whether you have an engineer on staff in your municipality, or if you're contacting an engineering firm to do that, it has to be prepared by an engineer. So making sure you're all including the total estimate cost of work for the project, and then includes any items, units of measurement, quantity, unit price, and total cost, which this will all be done by the engineer that you have selected, and then include an in-application form, and as a separate attachment, see IDOT form BDE 213. So the picture just shows an example of what the form will look like. And just to reiterate, making sure that this form does get prepared by an engineer. So for non-infrastructure application, these are some additional questions that might be asked. So who's going to be responsible for this project and future Safe Route to School programming, the number of students impacted, and then grantee designed or mini grant predefined projects. So making sure you're identifying if you are grantee designer or mini grant project for your non-infrastructure applications. And there are additional documents as well that are required to submit. So first of all, the Safe Route to School funding application. There's also the resolution and financial commitment and letter of support. So this is from any sponsoring roadway authority for affected roadways. So if your road is owned by the Department of Transportation, make sure you have sponsorship from IDOT or any corresponding road that goes with it. So another thing is resolution or letter of support from the school district. Make sure you have support from the school district to move this project forward that you're identifying. And then projects on state routes, so letter of allowance from your from the IDOT district. So contact your local road engineer office and make sure you have a letter of allowance. As we mentioned before, the detailed cost estimate, make sure that it's prepared by an engineer. And then the parent and survey student tallies, make sure you only include a summary of results only. You don't have to submit every single parent survey or student tally form there is. So just a summary of the survey is okay when submitting your application. And this is what the parent survey and student tally looks like. So all of these documents you're able to see from the Safe Route to School webpage on IDOT's website, downloaded as well. So this is the data collection method that is required. So parent surveys are available in English and Spanish on IDOT's website, and this is what it would look like. So fill them out, and as I mentioned before, you do not have to submit every single one you have filled out. You just have to submit a summary of the data collection. Um, and then the detailed cost estimate form is required. So cost estimates needs to be done accurately by an engineer. Several firms have offered application support to high-need communities. And if you want to see some of those contacts for the engineering firms, there is a Excel sheet. Some of the engineering firms are included in the image on the right. And if you want to, important note is that if you do get provided pro bono help for the cost estimate, it does not guarantee you that you will be selected for it. So just an FYI for people who are looking for help, go through the process of getting help from one of these engineering firms, and that does not mean that you would be getting a selected as well. And from this, the Active Transportation Alliance is helping, so we'll be selecting 5 to 10 communities that will be giving help to connecting them with engineering firms to help them fill out these detailed cost estimates. Another thing that's required is GATA. So GATA stands for Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. So who needs a GATA form? If you're applying for an infrastructure grant, you do need one, but if you are a local public agency, you do not have to submit an GATA form for infrastructure. And if you are submitting a non-infrastructure, everyone is required to submit a GATA. And if you need a GATA account, you can use the link to create your account and access it to complete your forms. So there are 4 documents that are required in the GATA portal. So it's the Uniform Grant Application, Programmatic Risk Assessment, the Grant Budget Template, Disclosure of Conflict of Interest. And if you have any questions about GATA in itself, there is a website, dot.gata@illinois.gov, and you can get support there. We also have John Perez, so if you have any questions related to GATA, he'll be more than happy to help too. So this is just information for NOFO. So when you're submitting your application, these are what you should be inserting. So for the number, it's going to be 24 1002. For the opportunity title is going to be Safe Route to School. Fiscal grant should be 2025, if I'm correct, John, or is this right if they're going to put in 2024?
No, we need to be using actually 2025.
Okay, just wanted to double check. So
Yep.
make sure you're inserting 2025 when you're completing your forms. So there are some additional documents that you can add to your application as well. You could do letters of support from project partners that include the MPO, PTAs, PTOs, the local school districts, other nonprofits, local law enforcement, businesses, public health agencies. So these are all other support that you can get from other agencies or partners to help you strengthen your application. And then other supporting documents that you could include photos, designs, renderings, school wellness policy, the walk audits, findings, photographs from any events that you had, or speed studies are all additional documents that you can add to help make a case for your project. So when submitting your application, you have to submit it electronically. They must be received to IDOT by 4:30 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, October 15th. So definitely make a note for people who are applying to submit a Safe Route to School application that the due date is 4:30 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, October 15th of 2025. If you want to get the application PDF form, you can access it from the IDOT website, and from the same website, you can scroll down and there's going to be a link to submit your application. So that is where you're going to be submitting your full application on that OneDrive. On the IDOT website, a hard copy is not required. So as long as you submit your copy electronically, you have done it right and you do not have to submit a hard copy to get your application in. There is a limit, so when attaching your application form, all required documents, make sure that it's under 10 megabytes. And award announcements would be expected around spring 2026. So after you submitted your application, we will expect to share the announcement for awardees around springtime 2026. So that is the end of the presentation, and I guess we could open it up for any questions that there might have been so far with the slides.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions coming in already, Alex. So
Yep.
I could start sharing some of these for the IDOT team to help answer. So we got a four-parter to start off from Lee, and Lee asks, if a project has a letter of allowance from a previously unfunded application, can that letter be reused or must a new one be obtained?
I will say that the letter can be reused as long as there hasn't been any significant changes to the scope of work.
All right. And then part two, for project proposals that exclusively target pedestrian infrastructure enhancements, does the application process still necessitate the inclusion of a biking audit or vice versa? So if it's a bike project, do you need a ped audit?
If it's a strictly PED project, then you can just do the walkability audit. You don't have to do the biking part.
Okay. Do sidewalks that connect multiple buildings or schools within the same campus qualify under Safe Routes to School eligibility criteria?
Yes, but if they are on school property, you will need to get a permanent easement from the school.
All right. Yeah, so I think that if a municipality constructs a sidewalk on school property and the school agrees to maintain it, is an easement still required for the construction phase?
Yes, it is.
Okay, moving on.
I like these easy questions.
If you're submitting more than one application, should you note a prioritization of the applications?
No. The only thing that might be an exception if for instance, one project is dependent on another one, and you're submitting two applications, like probably that would be maybe a non-infrastructure that would be dependent on the completion of the infrastructure. We do want to know that. But if you've got like three infrastructure projects, you don't need to prioritize them.
Okay, moving right along. Jody asks, on page one for infrastructure applications, is total project cost to include all costs, including those that are ineligible for reimbursement, such as design fees, or should this just be the total of eligible expenses?
We would want to see the total project cost that includes everything.
Right. And then Millie would like to know, can you explain what is the government resolution letter documents you are seeking for the application? How many documents is this? What is required to show financial commitment?
The government resolution or letter needs, what we want to do is make sure that the Council of Government is aware of the project, they are in support of the project, and that the municipality is ready to absorb any costs that would not be eligible. So that can be a budget resolution, basically stating that, that they agree to cover all costs above and beyond what is eligible for reimbursement from the program. In some cases, we've also accepted just a letter from the mayor. saying that the board is aware of this project and in support, and we are prepared to provide financial resources for anything that may not be included.
Got it. Next question, moving right along. What if you're doing a cost estimate and by the time actual work gets done, there's an increase in materials? Do we have to come up with the extra, or is it acceptable to only do what we actually have money for?
That's why we want a detailed cost estimate prepared by an engineer. And when we say engineer, it could also be possibly even a public works director, someone who knows what stuff costs, basically. And you need to think ahead when you're doing this. Chances are, if you've not started the PE process or anything yet, then this project could be 2 years out. So think ahead. Inflation happens. Prices are not going to come down. So go ahead and increase those costs a bit in order to be prepared for that. What you do not want to do, please do not include a line item that says contingency. We cannot reimburse for contingency costs. When you have your kickoff meeting with the district and possibly the FHWA folks, if FHWA sees that word contingency, they will immediately say that is not eligible for reimbursement. So don't use that. If you need to hide 10% or 12%, whatever you feel is appropriate, then you hide it in the actual line items. Okay.
All right. And there are a lot of questions about the parent surveys and the tallies. So in the NOFO, it says the student tally list is optional / highly recommended, but on another section of the NOFO, it says the student tally lists are required for every school. Can you please confirm if the student tally list is required or not?
We do realize that there is a discrepancy there. We would like to see them. I'll answer it like that. Okay. We would like to see them. We don't need to see the actual tallies themselves, but would like to see the results.
Great. I'm going to try and synthesize some of these that are kind of the same. So Millie and Christina both are asking about how many surveys are a good number to collect, and similar question for the tallies.
As many as possible. Send it out to all your parents and collect as many as you can get back.
And do you have to use the paper form for parent? Oh, oops, sorry, I'm jumping around. Do we have to use the paper form for student tallies, or can we take the questions and use online method like a Google survey?
If you can turn that into a Google survey, that is fine with us.
All right.
Again, we just want to see the results. In the past, we did have a national database that offered the parent surveys in Spanish and English, and I think also Korean, electronically. Unfortunately, the feds pulled the funding on that, so that is not available. Hopefully by the next time we have a funding cycle, we'll be able to do it here and offer an electronic version from our offices. It's on our list.
And Tammy would like to know, if we applied in the last round and did not get funded, can we use the same parent surveys from that application for this application?
Yes, you can. We will accept them from one funding cycle behind. Yep.
Woohoo! Good news, Tammy. And can you say a bit more about the summary comments, or provide some examples that have been submitted in the past?
What we need there is for you to basically sell us your project. We're going to be looking at, I would guess, probably around 180 applications compared to the past. We'll probably get that many. A lot of people are wanting sidewalks. A lot of people are wanting ADA improvements and crosswalks. What makes yours special? That's what we need to see in the summary comments. And so I would things that may help us notice your project more than others. If there are specific safety concerns, such as, have you had near misses? Have you had injuries? Heaven forbid a fatality. Let us know that. And how are these improvements going to address those issues? Safety is a big deal. Public support is a huge deal. Let us know who's actually going to be using these. Obviously, you're going to have students and parents using them. Are there other members of the community that are going to be using these facilities? And kind of broaden the view for us to a community level. What another thing would be, what are we actually connecting to? Obviously, we're connecting neighborhoods to schools, but what else is in the area? Are we connecting to government buildings, medical facilities, parks, libraries, local businesses, that type of thing? So in the summary comments, I would really urge you to look at a community level and convince us why this community needs this project.
Great. So not just the steak, also the sizzle, as former
Yeah.
manager of mine,
Yeah.
mine used to say.
There you go. We need some sizzle.
And that's I know our applications for the one-on-one support have already closed, and we had a few dozen folks, but that's the kind of thing that Alex and our colleague Maggie will be helping folks out with reviewing people's applications and working with them on that. A couple of questions about cost estimates. I think these might be talking about the same thing. So do we need to use the BDE 213 as the separate cost estimate attachment? And Jody asks, does the cost estimate need to be prepared on the IDOT form, or are other cost estimate forms acceptable?
No, the BDE 213 is provided there as an example and also as a resource that you can use. I know a lot of people have their own forms that they use. As long as the same information is there, we are good with that.
All right. So do you need to do the parent surveys and the student tallies, or just one of the other?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And Timothy asks, what is needed to summarize the results of the parent survey and student tally results? Perhaps just the percentages of each response option on the survey, or should it be more of a typed response with bar graphs and visuals?
Whatever you can give us. A lot of communities have different resources available to them. So, summarize it as best you can and in whatever format or fashion that you can.
Great. And then a question for an infrastructure project, if the sponsor is a municipality, do they not have to complete any or all of the GATA forms as part of the application? Just want to clarify.
Infrastructure projects. Okay, we need to clarify this. For infrastructure projects, we can only contract with local public agencies. So if you are a local public agency doing an infrastructure project, then you are GATA exempt. You do not have to worry about the GATA stuff. We do need to know that you are registered into GATA, and we need to know that you are not on the state do not pay list. But other than that, you are good to go. If for the non-infrastructure projects, regardless of who the sponsor is, you do have to go through the GATA process.
Great. And Kate just shared that the OneDrive link does not work. It's not working.
We will note that and check that out.
Oh, this one I can answer. Gabe, just wanted to clarify the grant deadline has changed from Monday, October 13th to Wednesday, October 15th. It is the 15th.
Yep, yeah, that is true, and I will take full responsibility for that discrepancy. I had 13 stuck in my head for a couple months and realized that, in the NOFO we put 15th. So it is the 15th. That's what we're sticking with.
2 extra days. All right.
Yeah, right. So you can enjoy that Monday holiday.
Gavin has a bit of an involved question here, so bear with me. Are non-infrastructure projects able to be administered region-wide, or must they be solely focused on a single school or school district? For instance, as an MPO, we hope to engage in capacity building. We would like to dedicate funding and resources to developing our transportation safety committee, which would be responsible for guiding and selecting future applications. In addition, our goal is to produce an infrastructure safety project identification tool. This would allow us to apply for and be more prepared for Safe Routes to School infrastructure project applications in the future. Finally, all of this would be followed by some transportation safety awareness media and an open house to make the community more aware of the committee. Would this be an acceptable non-infrastructure project? And apologies for the wall.
Yes, it would be.
That sounds like a cool project.
That's my easy answer.
Editorialize.
That's my easy answer. Yes, you can go wider with the non-infrastructure projects.
Very good. More of a practical question. Are you requesting the application be emailed and uploaded to OneDrive, or is completing one sufficient?
Chances are your application it will be too big to send by email. So that's why we are using the OneDrive. And it works through the cloud, so it's pretty much it's infinity and beyond, right? So it can be as big as you want. So use the OneDrive, and that is my personal OneDrive. So I will be looking at it every day, and you will also receive a confirmation of the submittal.
Great. Are local health departments able to apply for non-infrastructure awards?
They are, yes.
If we're planning on doing programming and grants are being awarded in spring 2026, in what months do you recommend that we plan on starting our programs?
We, after everything is scored and ranked, and we choose the recommended projects to be awarded, there are several people that have to approve those up the line. We have a selection committee that approves. Then we have the Secretary of Transportation. She will look at it, approve it, and normally it heads to the governor's office right around the end of January. That is where we normally wait, because that can sometimes take a while. We ask that the awards are announced on or around April 1st. I think the last cycle, I believe it was April 10th. We have had cycles that have fallen into May and into May. I don't think we've gone as far as June, but so that's why we just say spring, because it will happen sometime around there.
Good to know. Okay. Millie is wondering if the full application needs to be submitted in one PDF or if multiple documents are acceptable.
Please submit them in one PDF. Also on the website, near the button where you can get to the OneDrive, there is a couple pages of instructions there that also give you some naming conventions to use that will help us as we're pulling those off the OneDrive and sorting them. So read through those, please.
Okay. And Rochelle wants to know, the application website is asking for a Microsoft account for sign-in. What if you don't have an account? Is there another way to access the application?
Rochelle, drop me an email and we will help you figure that out.
All right. Christine asks, our project is on IDOT property that a section borders forest preserve property with wetlands. Will we need their permission?
It would be a good idea. Yes, please.
Can you give any examples of key stakeholders you'd like to see interviewed?
I would definitely look to school officials, local agency officials, your mayor, councilman, alderman, Also, public health possibly, any medical centers around, anybody who will use these facilities, parents, students, local businesses. Like I said, Safe Routes to School is kind of like a community initiative. Get as many people involved and collect their input as much as possible.
Great. It seems like there's a couple of questions about OneDrive. Timothy's asking, how does one make an account? So I guess if people are having issues with accessing the application or using OneDrive, can they just reach out to you, John?
Sure. Yep. Shoot me an email and we'll help you figure it out.
Okay. Thank you. Why does a non-infrastructure application for education activities require an engineer to complete the budget?
Non-infrastructure does not necessarily. If you're choosing a mini grant, there is a drop down that will help you figure out what your estimate is going to be. If it is a grantee designed non-infrastructure project, we would like the same detail, the same level of detail that would fall under an infrastructure project, but that would not have to be an engineer.
Great. Christine wants to know if you could say a bit more about defining what dependent on another project means. So, for example, if 250,000 doesn't cover the entire length of the sidewalk, can we do a portion and include it in the narrative? The rest will be done at a later date.
Yes. Whoops, can you go back to that question? I'm reading it here.
Oh, sorry.
You're clicking faster than I'm reading, Jim.
Here we go. This one is if 250K doesn't cover the entire length of the sidewalk, can we do a portion and include it in the narrative that the rest will be done at a later date?
Yes, you can do that, absolutely, and we do want to know that. When we talk about whether one is dependent on another, if, for instance, you are submitting two projects, then if I'm not sure how to say this. If one is dependent on the other, we just want to know that. So we will review and score those independently of one another separately. But if you're telling us we can't do this one unless we get the other one, then you need to let us know. So just so we're aware as we're reviewing and scoring.
Great. If a school district wants to write a grant for sidewalks on the land that the school district owns around the school, can the school district write the grant, or does the municipality need to be the project sponsor?
The school district can write the grant, or they can write the application and do everything, but the municipality still needs to be the project sponsor.
Could you please confirm if you are requiring a letter of support and resolution from the applicant/municipality, or is one sufficient if they show financial commitment and approval of the project?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Requiring a letter of support and resolution from the applicant municipality, or is one sufficient if they show financial commitment and approval of a project? Yeah, it doesn't necessarily. Oh, I see what you're saying. Can one do both? Yes, one can do both. One document can show financial commitment and approval at the same time. Yep.
Got it. Nicole asks, are there any complications if the street targeted for a crosswalk is managed or owned by IDOT?
Not necessarily. That's why one of the required documents, if you are touching or adjacent to state right-of-way, we want you to contact the district and get a letter of allowance from them. That is simply required so that the district knows that you are applying for this project, applicant for this grant. And also, if they we basically want them to tell us that, Village of so-and-so came to us. They are proposing this project. They will be applying for a grant, and we approve of the concept as we know it at this time for this project. We just want to make sure there aren't any problems. It also gives us a heads up, gives you a heads up. The district, if it's on a state right of way, we may be doing work 3 years from now that you're not aware of. So that also, helps coordinate any possible conflicts.
Okay. And then just a clarification on the NOFO number. Is it 241002 or is that 251002?
2-4.
I have not been out on the site. If the latest one is 2.4, then that's what it is. That's actually uploaded and published by a different office.
So you said for student tallies, getting as many as you can, but is there a minimum number on the student tallies?
No, whatever makes sense.
The application mentions applicant will conduct and provide parent surveys within 6 months of close of project. Should that be part of our cost estimate for non-infrastructure?
It can be, yes.
All right. This one is for us. Did you release which communities received one-on-one support? Not yet. That's going to be in a few weeks. Alex, do you remember the exact date?
I do not remember the exact date, but we will be going through the process of selecting those communities.
We got a lot of interest this year, so that's great. Thank you to everyone who applied for that. We'll be following up with folks after Labor Day. During the last session, I thought it was answered that the student tallies were not required, but parent tallies are required. Are you able to confirm?
That is true, but we would really like to see student tallies. Leave that out there. It's a good idea.
And then I guess just seeking more clarification on, when do you recommend we plan to start programs?
As I said, the spring is when we plan to have announcements. As soon as they are announced, within 2 weeks, you'll actually get a letter of award, and the date of that letter will be the date that your project starts, I guess. So anytime after that, I mean, and when after that would depend on how much work has been done beforehand, how big the project is, that's kind of on you. But we will get award letters out within a couple of weeks after the awards are announced.
Okay, so hopefully Sarah also asked a similar question, so hopefully that yeah. And maybe the other Sarah wanted to know if the recommended start and end dates for programs that are funded by the Safe Routes to School grant.
You have, I believe it's 3 years. Geez, I don't have it in front of me. 3 years to get the project completed after the award date, and that would be the date of the award letter. We would like to see non-infrastructure projects completed within 2 school years.
Darcy, you wanted to know if there's a page limit on the project narrative or document?
Nope.
And then to confirm, if a school district wants to do an infrastructure project, can we be the fiscal sponsor and show a letter of support from the city?
No, the fiscal sponsor still has to be the city. IDOT can only contract with a local public agency. So you need to partner with your city.
The NOFO says school districts may also apply for infrastructure projects provided that they can demonstrate the ability to follow all federal and state laws. So this is the same question. Can you please confirm if the school district can do an infrastructure project and get a letter of support from the city? It sounds like the city has to be
The city has to be the
Sponsor.
fiscal sponsor. Yes.
Got it. Hopefully that answers that question. And then Nicholas was asking, when will the funds need to be expended by? It sounds like 3 years from the date of your award letter.
Yeah, well, these are federal funds, so they need to be obligated within 3 years.
Gotcha. Okay, that was the last question that we have.
That was easy.
Nice.
Oh wait,
Let's-
Sarah's
one
coming.
Oh,
more.
here we, all right, Sarah, come on, Sarah.
For a pilot school program, no, absolutely. We have, this is scheduled for 2 hours. So if people have more questions, please feel
Yes.
free to submit them now, and also, feel free to follow up afterwards, and we can work to get your questions answered. But for a pilot school program, do you have a recommendation for the scale of the program as far as numbers of students involved?
No. As many students as possible. A lot would depend on how the scope of the project and how encompassing it's going to be. Is it going to be one school? Is it going to, be a couple schools? How big is the school? Yeah, really don't have a recommendation for the scale. It has to fit the community.
All right. And then still trying to get some clarity on same question again. So the NOFA is incorrect in saying that a school district can do their own infrastructure project.
IDOT cannot contract with the school district. IDOT has to contract with the city. So the school district, I mean, they can fill out the application, they can design the project. They can even provide assistance with administering the project, but our contract is going to be with the city.
So hopefully that helps clarify.
For any project, even with the non-infrastructure, I would say that the school and school district needs to partner with the city in all cases and share responsibilities. But the actual financial fiscal responsibility will fall with the city.
Okay, and if that's still unclear, maybe we can follow up
Yep.
offline here. Sarah had a bit more to ask about the pilot project. To build on that, a pilot can extend for 2 school years.
Yes.
Can stakeholder interviews be conducted via email?
Sure. It's better than paper anyway. Save some trees.
Jinx. And Christine was wondering, so can a park district be an infrastructure sponsor? It sounds like
Yes, because park districts are considered local public agencies.
Got it.
So they should be fine. If you have a particular park district in mind, shoot us an email and we'll check it and make sure.
One with units of government in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we've cleared the list once again.
Okay.
Nice.
We got another hour, folks.
Oh, Rochelle
Surely
said this the Chicago Park District is.
Yeah, you're fine. You are good with Chicago Park District.
Awesome. We're getting praise.
Did one more come in?
Everyone. Go ahead, Alex.
So just final slide for everybody. As next step, we have the final of the 3 webinar series. That'll be Wednesday, September 17th at the same time. So if you have any other questions related to the Safe Route School application or questions for specific questions for John Perez, feel free to join us for that webinar, and we'll kind of be doing similar to what we did today of just holding open space for people to ask any questions that they may have for their application process. Reiterating, the application is due October 15th. That is a Wednesday. Get it in on the OneDrive. If you want to get in touch with IDOT, they have a webpage at Safe Route to School. They also have, if you want to get any specific questions, feel free to email John Perez at his email. And there is a guideline and an application available at the IDOT website. And if you want to look at any of the previous recordings, resources, or slides that we have, you can see all of that at the activetrans.org's Safe Route to School webpage. So that is 2 resources for you to continue building on your application.
And we had a couple more questions come in, Alex, while you were wrapping up.
Go for
so
it.
we can go ahead and field these. Is there a rubric for scoring?
If it's not on our website, we will put a document on the website explaining exactly what the scoring criteria is. If it's not there yet, we'll get it on there.
Great. Does a school wellness policy have to include language specific to safe routes to school, or can it be a general promotion of physical activity?
It does not have to be specific to safe routes to school. The school wellness policy, help me out, guys, if you know, back in 2008, maybe, the General Assembly passed a bill that stated that each school should have a school wellness policy in place. And that's how that kind of became a required document for our program. And, you know, if you have one, you can attach it. If you have one and it's massive, like some of them in some of the larger communities are, just go ahead and scan a couple pages that talk about bike ped facilities and that kind of thing and toss it in there. If it's really, really massive and it's, you know, things are scattered around, at least tell us you have one.
Great.
If you don't have one, will you be dinged for that? No, but we would like to see it if you do.
Kathy wants to know if a school district wants to put in a sidewalk on a private road, does that have to go through the city as well? I think the answer is yes, since it's infrastructure.
The answer would be yes, and that would again have to be the city would have to be granted a permanent easement for whatever touches that private road. So be careful with that.
Andrea just pointing out working at this time of year with schools can be tricky and rushed. Just wanted to point that out. I guess anticipating this is, you know, an every 2 years funding cycle, so we'll be back here in 2027 if you want to, you know, work ahead.
Yes, yeah.
That's always an option, although things change a bit. But
we're trying to keep to right around August 1st of the odd numbered years. So,
but good point. Is project development report required for infrastructure projects if the extent of the project is sidewalk construction, reconstruction, and no right-of-way is involved?
that would be a question that shoot me an email and we will check with your IDOT district office just to make sure. That's somewhat beyond what I know right off the top of my head, so I don't want to give a wrong answer. So shoot me an email and we'll get it answered for you.
Right. Okay. I guess going once, going twice, or forever hold your peace. We will be back on September 17th with just pure question and answer session. So in the meantime, feel free to reach out to any of us. We can help track down answers for you. But Alex, I can pass it back to you, I guess.
No, see if you have any. I think that was the last slide. Yep, that is the last slide. So as Jim mentioned, September 17th will be the last of the webinar series for questions, specific questions that you may have, and make sure you have your application in due by October 15th. Thank you all for joining us today. Hope you have had your answers question, and if you have any additional questions that may have come up, feel free to reach out to any of us.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.